The two cops piled out of the car as though we had robbed a bank. One of them grabbed Tony and shoved him against the car. "Spread your legs, nigger," he growled as he began to search him roughly. He found Tony's small bankroll and the tea. "Nigger, you must have been doing pretty good in that crap game." Tony was scared. He answered slowly, "Officer, I didn't even know how to play. We was just watching." The officer slapped him across the face, then kicked him until he scrambled into the back seat of the car. The other officer, who'd been holding me, spoke up. "Boy, what the hell color are you?" The question took me by surprise. "Colored," I answered. He slapped me in the mouth. "Get up against the car, you black son of a bitch," he yelled angrily. Shaking with rage, I leaned against the back of the car. I felt my small roll of money being removed. When I complained, the other officer jabbed me in the stomach with his nightstick. Bending over, holding my stomach, I began to vomit. Some of the food splashed onto the foot of one of the officers. He cursed angrily. When I finished, he grabbed me by my shoulders and pushed me towards the open car door. When I raised my leg to step into the car, pain exploded in my testicles. The floor of the car came up to meet me as I sprawled out on the floor, crying. The policeman who had kicked me stuck in his foot and wiped his shoe off on me, then told me to shut up. Tony rubbed the top of my head, as if it might take away the pain. The police rode us around for a while. They told us what would happen if they caught us in the alley shooting craps again. They tried to give us the impression that we were just lucky, since all they were going to do to us was take the money. Not once did they mention school to us. At the time, we were only 13. They finally stopped and put us out. After threatening us again, they pulled off, leaving us about 4 miles from home, with no money. "What we gonna do? Walk or catch a cab and jump out and run?" Tony asked. I didn't answer for a few moments. "I don't see no sense in us going home without no kind of money, Tony." It was Tony's turn for silence now. We walked for about 5 blocks this way, until Tony stopped in front of a market. I grinned and followed him into the store. In less than 10 minutes, we were back on the street. We both had 6 steaks apiece. We continued walking until we found a colored beauty shop. At the first booth inside, we pulled out the meat. A heavy-set woman doing hair stared at us closely. "Where you get that meat at?" she asked loudly. Her fingers were digging into the prime beef. The woman whose hair she was doing picked out 4 steaks. "How much?" she asked. Soon the small booth was full of bargaining women. "Let me get one of them," another woman yelled. 15 minutes later, we were back on the street, splitting the money. "No, man, let's try that short con Fast Black showed us. I ain't never used it before, and ain't no better time than now to find out if it works." We continued walking until we came to a drugstore. We entered and tried it, but it didn't work. Our next stop was a small grocery store. No luck. The third business we entered was a dime store. I decided to try my luck this time, so Tony handed me the $10 bill and 1 spot. "Could I have a pack of Camels, please?" I held the $10 bill out to the young girl behind the counter. When she returned with my cigarettes and change, she remarked, "Aren't you a little young for smoking?" For a moment, I ignored her question. "Was that a 10, miss?" "Yes," she replied, and raised her eyebrows. I pushed her $1 and held on to the change she'd given me. "I'm sorry, miss, that's my father's 10. Would you please take the cigarettes out of this? They're from my mother, and I can't get the money mixed up." "Oh," she said, surprised. She took the $1 and went to the cash register. When she came back, she put the 10 on the counter. I put the 10 spot in my hand with the other money and started counting fast. 10, 15, 16, 19, 20. "Just give me a 20 for that change, please." She looked down at the money and then stared at me. My heart skipped a beat. I almost broke and ran. Panic was setting in. If Tony hadn't come to my rescue, I'd have run. "That other money belongs to my big brother, miss." "My, I'm sure going to tell him what a pretty lady they got working in this store." The remark paid off. She picked up the money off the counter and put it in the cash register, returning with a 20. "You boys be careful with all this money now," she said, smiling. We showed all of our teeth as we grinned at her on our way towards the door. As soon as we hit the sidewalk, we got in the wind. We didn't stop running until we were 4 blocks away. We ducked into an alley and lit up our cigarettes behind a garbage can. We laughed and smoked, then walked on, looking for another opportunity. We found nothing favorable until we came to John R. Street. There we came upon 2 slick old Negroes playing 3-card Molly with 4 white men. The whites were being trimmed smoothly. I was surprised when Tony asked the man handling the cards if he could make a bet. The old guy tossing the boards looked up. "Your money spends, boy, just like theirs." He laughed loudly at his own wit. Tony bet $1 and lost. Then 2 more with the same results. I stared at him and wondered if he could be losing his mind. We both knew how to toss the boards, but he was better than me. He quit suddenly, turned his back, and walked away. I followed him down the street till he found a drugstore. When he went in, he found the women's section bought some lipstick. Now I was sure he was going mad. On the way out, he stopped. "How much money you got, Whoreson?" When I replied, he stuck out his hand. I stared at him, foolishly. Removing the lipstick from his pocket, he smeared a little on his finger. "Shell out, man. Ain't you got no faith in me?" I grinned and pushed my small bankroll into his hand. When we returned to the game, Tony watched the cards go back and forth for a while. Then he bet $1 and lost. Picked up the other 2 cards to see where the queen was, put a tiny mark on it, and dropped it back to the ground, with the other card over it. "Old man, you ain't slick," Tony said. "I ain't gonna never let no old man beat me out of nothing. How much money can I bet?" "All you can get down with," came the reply. The old man switched the cards back and forth, faster than the eye could follow. "Get your bets down while I'm in town. Money on the wood makes the bets go good," he said, while bringing the cards to a halt. Tony made a $35 bet, reached over, and turned up the queen. The old hustler swore, but, thinking it was pure luck, paid off. Then, without hesitating, he began to toss the cards again. When he stopped, Tony spotted the tiny smear and bet the whole bankroll. He flipped the queen over again. The hustler paid off, while his lookout partner searched the back of the cards. I figured Tony had wiped the back of the queen off on that last catch, but I wasn't taking any chances. I watched the cars coming up the one-way street. As soon as I saw a break in the traffic, I hit Tony's arm. We crossed John R. on the run, turning up into the nearest alley. The hustlers let out a yell behind us, so we knew they must have found part of the mark. The traffic held them up. By the time they got across the street, we were cutting through backyards on our way to another alley. We bought 3 cans of reefer for $50 and split the rest of the money. That night, we gave a lawn party in my backyard for all the young kids in the neighborhood. There was plenty of wine, weed, and beer. We had everything at the party but grass to dance on.